Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Postgame Show. Here we go again.
Hello.
It's Greg Boysen with Mario Tirabassi. Jay Zawaski made the very correct and wise decision to go take the night off to go see the Sturgill Simpson show.
Yeah.
So he is having a
Good choice.
much better night than we are having to watch that.
I bet he was able to see the game somehow.
Probably. Why he'd want to watch it though anyway, but a 7-2
Rough.
loss to the Minnesota Wild for the Blackhawks tonight. Lots of you guys waiting. We appreciate that. We're the only post-game show in town for some of you.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you were able to watch the show or watch the game if you were able to get CHSN. We'll talk about the feel of the broadcast, the look of the broadcast as we go on because, you know, how much time do you really want to spend on a 7-2 playoff or preseason loss?
You know, yes. There is only so much that the preseason can tell you, but looking at this lineup compared to what the Wild were doing, like this felt probably the closest to an NHL game that we've seen in the 4 preseason games so far. So for it to go this way, especially with some of the performances that individual performances that we should highlight tonight, I hate to have preseason concerns, but I have preseason concerns.
Preseason concerns are valid. Preseason declarations and full-on panic, it's a little extreme, but concerns are fine. We can quickly go through the scoring. Things got off on the right foot. Jason Dickinson.
Yeah. It started really well.
It sounds familiar. It sounds like a movie we've seen before. Blackhawks get off to a good start, and then woof. Jason Dickinson playing in his first game got the Hawks on the board at 6:23, scoring off a rebound from Seth Jones. Good to see another goal created because the defensemen are shooting the puck.
Yeah.
Nick Foligno in his first game with the C on his jersey got the secondary assists on that play. And then downhill from there, late in the first period, Kevin Korchinski. We're going to talk a lot about Korchinski, I'm sure.
Tough game.
Just not a lot of awareness. I don't know if he didn't know the Hawks were line changing. Puts the puck towards the middle of the ice when there's nobody there. Lucas Reichel tries to corral the puck, deflected puck in the...
Camezo made the save.
Right. And then the rebound, Reichel had it.
Fumble fingers.
Tried to, pass it down to his own stick, miss, and it went into the net.
Yeah.
And then early second period, another Korchinski turnover. This time it looked like he learned his lesson. He tried to go off the glass, which he should have done on the first one.
Trying to just exit the zone.
But the puck probably was flat or was on an edge, and it just was bad execution. It was the right idea, bad execution. Yeah. Another Korchinski turnover, another Wild goal. They scored 30 seconds later. After that, all of a sudden it's 3-1. Then they had a power play goal by Joel Eriksson Ek. And then just 21 seconds after that, Marco Rossi makes it 5-1, then 6-1 with another power play goal by Kirill Kaprizov. Less than a second to go in the second period. Connor Bedard.
Hey!
There he is. He gets a power play goal.
Tried to start the comeback.
But then the Wild get the only goal of the third period. Jared Spurgeon gets his second goal as, for some reason, Connor Murphy tried to glove the shot as it goes by, and he ends up deflecting it over Camezo's shoulder. 7-2 is the final score. Just a really ugly 10 minutes did this team in.
Yeah. Well, and the scoring barrage that the Wild had. That's one thing, but I think there was a lot of times tonight where I think the gelling of the team still needs to happen, but I think it needs to accelerate. I think after this game, knowing that there is a 2 days just practice before you play again on Friday, I would say that these next 2 days we should see the rosters get cut down. I think there's some guys here that are gonna definitely go to Rockford. There are some guys that are definitely going to go back to junior, and I wouldn't be surprised if tomorrow's practice is a lighter group. Just because I think after this kind of performance, I think you have to take a real hard look at the roster, see where guys are fitting in, see who has the ability to gel together, find some chemistry with some line mates and some D pairings, and who needs to, have some growing pains, and have them in places where, those aren't going to be as detrimental. Places like Rockford, places like junior. I just think this team can't get off to a slow start. Like you can't come out of the gate with one win in your first 10 games. The expectations for this team after what Kyle Davidson did in the offseason to bolster the lineup, get some more help for Connor Bedard. You can't come stumbling out of the gate. And I know they're not realistically going to contend for much this year, but you can't get off to such a slow start that you're digging out of a deep hole right away.
Yeah, I agree. Like they should really spend the next 2 days of practice getting your opening night lineup working together. Yeah. Play that lineup Friday night against the Wild at home, and then recall a couple of guys, maybe recall some guys from Rockford, take them up to Milwaukee, play that game. Because you don't want your regular guys playing back-to-back nights to end the preseason 3 days before the regular season starts. So, these aren't great performances here, but they're, again, it's preseason. You had Foligno and Dickinson playing in their first games. Some guys only playing in their second game. So you talk to these guys, ahead of these preseason games, and a lot of it is I want to just get touches. I need to get my legs going. Like for them, it's basically just going through the motions and getting into the game, getting their bodies used to playing games again. Yeah. So you can, excuse some of the stuff, but for some of these guys, who've had multiple games, this was Taylor Hall's third game. Like he should have that feel ready. So again, this is a preseason game. It doesn't count. It won't matter. Are there things to be concerned about? Sure. Are there things to just be making declarations that nothing has changed and coaches need to be fired and trade this guy and trade this guy? No, I don't think so.
No, you're not. No, you're not doing any of that. But I think the roster decisions. This is. I agree. The back-to-back games to close out the preseason, you're probably going to carry more guys than
yeah. I mean, they did that last year too, where they cut guys down, but then recalled like 7 guys from Rockford to play in the final game.
Yeah.
And Luke even kind of hinted that that's what they're going to do. Yeah. So you could see Brent Sini and Del Mastro and Allen and Colton Dock back to play in Milwaukee, and then they send them back down for the
it's a nice treat for the Milwaukee fans. Like, come watch the Ice Hawks.
Come see the guys you're going to see play in this town across the street 13 times later this year.
Exactly.
But
I agree. But my point was going to be, I feel like this is the first of the tough decision making that's going to be necessary on who's making this lineup and not. I think there's some guys that dug themselves a hole. I think Lucas Reichel, again, we've talked about him at extensively through the summer and what to expect of him, what should the team do, where is he fit. This preseason has done him no favors of finding a spot on this team where he fits, where he's effective. I don't know. Man, if you're getting outchanced 28-4 in a preseason game, I don't know what you're doing out there. And Andreas Athanasiou was on his line with Taylor Hall, and he had a rough game too. That whole line had a rough game,
but really bad. Yeah.
And those are two guys, Reichel and Athanasiou, who, where do they fit? Who are they going to play with? If they can't play in the top 6, what do they do? I don't know. And I think we're getting to a point where, you got, we've talked about, Frank Nazar probably needing to go to Rockford to, go through some of those growing pains and figure out what he's going to be at the professional level more long term, and wait till he's more 82 game NHL ready. I think the door opened up for him again with a game like that from Athanasiou and Reichel to be like, he might play in Friday's game and say, hey, there's still spots open for these guys. So I just think, I don't know. I just think some decisions are going to be made very soon. And I do not want to have a team that looks like that on a regular basis in the regular season again, because that was a game we saw a lot over the last 2 years.
If that's what it looks like through the first month of the regular season, then big changes need to be made. Big changes need to be made. We have our poll up for our 4th star of the night. The 3 stars, guess what? All Minnesota Wild. Kirill Kaprizov, Matt Zuccarello, Jared Spurgeon were your 3 stars. Our 4-star nominees, Jason Dickinson, who had the big first goal, also had 2 shots on goal, 4 attempts, 2 hits, and 2 blocked shots. Not a good night at the faceoff dot for him, though. 5 of 14. We also nominated Nick Foligno. He had the assists on that goal. Nice little drop pass to Seth Jones. And then he finished the night with 3 hits, a takeaway, and a block shots. That line was really good, at least for the first 2 periods. We'll talk about that as we delve into the few positives we can take out of this. And, of course, Connor Bedard. He's another third. So those are our Who's Your Hawks picks, too.
Yeah.
Funny how that works out. We were on it tonight. Connor Bedard had the power play goal, 6 shots on goal on 9 shot attempts, 6 shots hit the net. Credited with 2 hits tonight. We got red ass Connor Bedard out there. Here's a positive stat for young Mr. Bedard. 53% at the dot. Won 8 of his 15 faceoffs.
There you go. That's
something
good
to grasp.
That's one positive.
Yes, there's
nice.
one positive.
Put that on the board.
Yes, we have. There are some positives we could talk about. We should spend a little bit of time on that.
Sure.
We'll start at the new look 3rd line with Foligno and Dickinson and Ilya Mikheyev.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the Blackhawks' identity line this year. I think they started the game, the first shift. They had some sustained offensive zone, put out a couple hits, set the tone. And then they score the goal. Mm-hmm. It seemed that every time after a goal was scored, Luke Richardson put them out there right away to kind of calm things down. They weren't as good in the 3rd period as they were the first 2. Going into the 3rd period, they had an 8-2 shot attempt advantage while on the ice, and then they finished the game even 9-4, 9 against. But 2 of those 3 guys on that line playing in their first preseason game, 3rd period, getting, pushed around.
Shelled.
It's not a surprise that it tailed off, but overall, a good performance by that trio.
Yeah, I mean, Dickinson and Foligno, those are 2 guys that Luke trusts. We saw it all last year of playing them together for the most part, and having them be out there for, like you said, like coming on after goals were scored against or scored for. Like that is a group, or at least a pairing that are tone setters, and the hard working line that you want to have in your bottom six, and as a third line option, like that's a really good group. I think Mikheyev's going to take a little bit more time to kind of fit in and build up that chemistry. That trio, though, I will say, that I can think of, they have had the most practice time together, because I think those three really haven't been split up at all through the scrimmages. I know the Bertuzzi, Bedard, those two have been together a little bit with Teravainen, a little bit with Kurashev, but the Foligno, Dickinson, Mikheyev has been pretty steady through all of the training camp and preseason. So I think that's the trio that I'm the most solidified. Like, that is a starting night line. Like, that has already been figured out, and I think it works well together. I think once they continue to keep playing together and get some chemistry going in the regular season, you got some good speed with Mikheyev and Dickinson. You got, two-way game across the board from all three of those guys, and we've seen Dickinson put up 20 goals before, so that'll be an interesting line, but I probably the one that you have the most faith in as we get closer to the first regular season game.
All right, we'll talk more about the third line and a couple more positives after we hit our break zone. But first, whether it's pro or college, the app to bet football is Circa Sports Illinois. Circa Sports, it's sports betting the way it should be. Circa Sports Illinois has high betting limits, low holds, and exceptional customer service. Bet on all your favorite teams in every game this season. Spreads, props, futures, or in-game, Circa Sports has it. Fund and bet like a pro from anywhere, anytime in Illinois. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And if you need to unwind after tonight's rough game, why not choose to chill with our friends over at Coors Light? Between work, social media, the games, debates, and what have you, the choices life throws our way, it's no wonder we're more worked up than ever. Coors Light celebrates rising above all of that and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn a rained-out barbecue, these October barbecues, into a karaoke house party and reach for a Coors Light? When the mountains are cold, that's when you know Coors Light is at its coldest. You can definitely enjoy all those sporting events, watching a game, tailgating. Coors Light makes it the best when you choose to chill. And when the mountains turn blue, that's when you know your Coors Light is as cold as the Rockies. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. The mountains, not the baseball team. So make the most out of the times you choose to chill and choose Coors Light. You can get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/CHGO Hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
All righty. Well, we're trying to tackle some positives. We'll get to that super chat when we're ready to go into our negative column there, Sarah. The new third line, as we were talking, Luke said this morning before getting on the plane in Minnesota that he really likes that line, that they're all responsible defensively, good penalty killers, but can offer some offensive play as well. We saw that tonight. And both Nick Foligno and Jason Dickinson spoke this morning after practice, and they were both excited to have their new line mate in Ilya Mikheyev and see what they could do. It seems like that is going to be an inseparable bunch this year.
Yeah.
That's going to be that's going to be the line that Luke is going to lean on a lot when you need close games in the third period. They're going to be out there for as many defensive zone draws as you could possibly get them out there. They're going to be matched up against every team's top line as much as they can as well. So they're going to be a shutdown defensive line, but they're also a shutdown defensive line that realistically could put up 30 to 45 on 5 goals this year between that trio. maybe more, depending on how crazy they get. But
yeah, I think offensively, like you those three guys, like I said, like you have some good speed there. You have guys that are willing to, in the offensive zone, work to keep possession, work to, win board battles, go into corners, and be able to, try and sustain some offensive zone time by, working hard, not necessarily being the guys that can make the cross ice, saucer passes and keeping the puck, through dangling through defenders and keeping possession that way and creating scoring chances that way. It's more of a hardworking trio that, this team needs a lot of those guys. Luke Richardson loves to have, those kinds of hardworking players in the offensive zone. And you could see the discrepancy in the offensive zone time tonight. And, it just seemed like there was really not a lot of 5v5 offensive chances, quality chances created by the Blackhawks tonight. A lot of their scoring chances all came through their power play opportunities. And I think it was 15-1 in 5-on-5 high danger chances in this game.
Sounds right. You could tell me it was 25-1, and
yeah,
I believe you.
It was a wide margin in favor of the Wild, and the Wild are built that way. They have a couple high end skill guys. Future Blackhawk Kirill Kaprizov is one of the best in the league, but you look up and down that lineup, and Joel Eriksson Ek and the other Foligno, Marcus Foligno, like they have those bigger forwards that are going to work to keep the puck in their zone and keep that offensive possession sustained. So I mean, the Blackhawks, I think they still have to figure out how they're going to formulate their offensive forward groups to achieve that, because I think, bringing in Bertuzzi, that's a player that plays like that. He's just going to need to find some time to, fit in with the rest of the group. Bedard's a guy that, through skill can keep, offensive possession and create offensively. Teravainen's a guy like that. But, where does Philip Kurashev's game, because he kind of can do a little bit of everything, but where does his game flourish the most? Is it being the two-way guy? Is it being the defensive guy? Is it being just kind of offensively creative? Is it at wing? Is it at center? Like he was really effective last year, and I feel like he got a role last year. This year, now with the talent that they brought in, he's got to relearn the role. I think it's still within the top six, but he's got to kind of refit into the group here. So I think, I know we were talking about Dickinson and Foligno and Mikheyev, but I think across the board, offensively, this team they got to be the ones that hem someone in from time to time. And, as much as it's Mikheyev and Foligno and Dickinson right now that are built to do that, if that's the line that is going to create offensive chances through hard work, and that's the only one, it's not really how the NHL is right. Really won nowadays.
No, and they better not be. But I mean, Foligno talked today as well about like the added depth to this team, and was asked about guys having to play up, and now this year it seems everybody's, at least to start the season, is going to be slotted where they should be.
Yeah,
and he had said that last year a lot of guys had to play up, ask more, and they just didn't have the horses to be able to sustain that for a very long time. Mm-hmm. Now he says even in practice you could see guys are playing where they're supposed to, and he even said himself, like, I'm going to be on a line where, I'm not looked upon to be a top line winger or on the power play as much. So I have a different role this year, which he's obviously going to accept. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out, and they're going to need some time to get those combinations right, figure out those roles, not only the players but the coaching staff. And a guy like Kurashev, as you said, is an interesting fit, because he seemed to really find his groove with Bedard last season, and now doesn't look like it, for at least to begin the year he's playing with Bedard on that top line. But you never know, things are going to move around, things are going to be fluid. Lots of they'll have the coaching staff will have a lot more patience than our chat tonight. Lots of lots of declarations being made here tonight.
I mean, but I get it though. Like, I mean, we're watching the game, and I'm getting frustrated because I just, like I said, I don't want to see. I want to see all the things that this team is supposed to do those things. I'm at the point where, you know, I listen. You're not going to find someone more hopped on the ride than me. But I want to start seeing these progressions that we're talking about, that we're expecting. And I know I'm not going to get instant gratification. We're not going to be in Utah and be like, oh, this team is a Stanley Cup contender. Stamp it right there. Like I know that that's not realistic. But I don't want to see this team be what they were last year. They can't be. Aside from, knock on all the wood possible, aside from being decimated by injuries again, there's no reason that this team should be as bad and look as discombobulated as they did last year. And a lot of that is on the players because they're the ones out there that have to execute. There's some of it that is on the coaching staff too, because this is now, you know, with Luke Richardson and his staff, this is the most talent that they've had to work with. And hopefully it is the most regular lineups that they can play that they've had to work with. You know, night in and night out, the guys that you expect to be there are going to be there. They don't have to, hopefully, won't have to move around the lineups all that much and you know, deal with a plethora of call-ups and reassignments and all that stuff. So I think the expectations this year have to be higher. And sure, are they going to, you know, turn it around and add 30 plus points in the standings? Unlikely, but you can't be in the 60s and of points. Like you have to have that significant step, and it has to look more like regular NHL hockey on a night-to-night basis. And games like this, like I really do not want that to become the regular like it was the last 2 years.
Oh, that's 100% valid, and I agree. And but again, like I'm not gonna hit a panic button until we start seeing this in the regular season repeated. And just to put it in perspective, the Minnesota Wild coming into tonight's game averaged 4.5 goals a game in the preseason, scored another 7. And before tonight's game, had a 55.6% success rate on the power play. So they are an offensive juggernaut in the preseason.
That's entirely sustainable.
Those are two things that are not the Minnesota Wild are not known for. Scoring a ton of goals and having a legendary power play. So just to put it in perspective,
league's greatest preseason.
They're not going to be that good in the regular season. And the Blackhawks aren't going to be this bad in the regular season.
I hope they're not.
They're not. Not with this roster. Not with this roster. They're not.
I really.
And if they are, then people need to lose their jobs. It's as simple as that.
No,
people will lose their jobs.
I agree. If
so,
that precedent was set by Kyle Davidson. Like you can't have seasons like the last two. And if they do,
and he went out and he went out and we know all the people he brought in. He listened and said, okay, yes, we need more NHL talent around Connor Bedard, and we need to make this better. And on paper, he certainly has. I'll start really critiquing and criticizing players and efforts and coaches when we start to see this in the regular season. So that's why I wanted to breed those Wild stats. The Wild are not going to average almost 5 goals a game in the regular season. The Blackhawks are not going to give up 7 a game in the regular season. They will start playing like their true selves. And like, you know, I feel bad for Drew Comezzo because he was not like you see 7 and you're going to say, oh God, this kid sucks. What are we doing here? He got hung out to dry repeatedly. We can get in that here after our next break zone. But you know, we'll get to the super chat after this break. and we'll talk about the elephant in the room, Lucas Reichel, and another poor effort and bad stat line from there. And we'll hit that right after this break zone.
Hey, do you need to relax and maybe forget about tonight's game? Well, our friends over at Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary may have the right product for you. Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer or fall or winter or spring. It's a one-stop shop for all of your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strands to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations around the city like Wrigleyville and River North, and in the suburbs like Champaign, South Beloit, and beyond. It's easy to order online, and Sunnyside is there to help you in store. And here for, it's pretty unseasonably warm still in October, so you can still hit the golf course. And you can do it with the Good News is Tea Time disposable vapes, bringing a classic lemonade flavor, perfect for the golf course because we all need a little bit of help staying loose when we're out there on the green. So you can visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off of your first 3 online purchases when you use the promo code CHGO. That's HICHGO. Do that at checkout. Exclusions do apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for those 21 or older or Illinois medical card holders.
And if you take too many edibles and you need a nice, comfortable floor to pass out on, that's where our friends at Empire Today come walking in, literally. Mm-hmm. With Empire Today, you get shop-at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Empire Today is the best place to get new flooring, so of course they have copycats. But Empire can't be beaten on quality, service, speed, so competitors advertise low-quality products that Empire simply won't carry. Just because, man, this is not written well. Empire won't promise the lowest prices because anyone who does that is putting flooring in your home that they won't put in theirs. Empire keeps shopping for floors simple, and they also have their virtual floor designer. That's a great way to see new floors, how they're going to look in your space. It's very easy. You just snap a picture of your room and instantly see how the new floors will look in said room. Shopping for floors at the big box store can be frustrating. You might talk to someone today who was working in plumbing yesterday. Well, that's no good. Flooring is all Empire Today does. They live and breathe flooring. Not preseason hockey, but flooring. So you can be confident you're getting the honest, upfront advice. Plus, they service their own warranties. So if an issue does arise, just call Empire. They service their own warranties themselves. You won't have to track down a manufacturer's phone number. So schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive $350 off when they use the promo code CHGO. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details.
Sounds good. Hey, should we do a good old-fashioned like spike?
Yeah, let's do that.
We have well over 200 people watching us. Thank you to everyone. But we don't, unlike the Wild, with a 55% success rate on the power play, we don't have a 55% like rate there with the viewers. So let's get up to 55% at least. I don't know what the math is, but it's more likes than we have right now.
I just liked it. That was my bad.
3, 2, 1, like spike. Boom.
Do it.
What was that?
Was that a whistle?
Whoa. Hey. All right.
Give us a like if you're not worried about the preseason. Give us a like if you are ready to write this season off already. No matter what you like, we will make happen if you hit that like button. So
every like is one trade scenario sent to Kyle Davidson.
Every like is one more step to getting Jeremy Swayman, if that's what you want.
Yeah. He's out there.
Yes. Sarah, can we get to that super chat? From Jason, $5.
Thank you, Jason.
Lucas Reichel, 0 shots, by the way. Oh, we're well aware of that.
Sure, yeah.
I think dominated tonight is an understatement. Looping back on Lucas, wave this soft Euro enough already with
Thank
this.
You, Jason.
All right, well, that was borderline.
All right, Jason Cherry over here.
Yeah.
Man, Reichel, he needed to have a preseason with a number of times where you watch him play and you point and say, that's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're talking about in a good way. Not that's what we're talking about with this kid. This kid needs to go to Rockford. And I know you've said it before about, there might be a team out there like San Jose that picks up Reichel should he go to Rockford and need to go through waivers because he's still very young. Every NHL GM believes that they can untap the potential of a young player, and he's on a cheap, quote unquote, 2-year deal. But we've seen this before, and nothing that I've seen in his preseason action tells me that he's turned a corner. He should be playing in the he should be a player at this point. The amount of professional hockey he's played in North America, the amount of NHL games he's had, almost 100. He should be a guy that when you play in the preseason, he stands out, and he's standing out in the wrong ways. And I hate having a short leash on a guy, but he's a first-round pick. He's not Kyle Davidson's pick.
No,
that's to say he wasn't the GM of the at the time. I know he was assistant GM, but wasn't Kyle Davidson's pick. And aside from a combined 15 to 20 game stretch of his almost 100 NHL games he's played, he's looked good. I don't know. I don't know what else they can try and do to unlock that potential that we all still think is there with Reichel. The more and more I watch him, the more I'm thinking this is who he is.
It's certainly starting to look that way, which is very disappointing.
Yeah.
We talk about that stretch to end the 22-23 season, and that just feels like that was a lifetime ago because it's been so long since we've seen even a small taste of what we saw there.
That's when we started the show.
Yeah, I mean, it was but the fact is, Kyle Davidson gave him a 2-year contract. Not for a lot of money, but gave him 2 years because obviously he still has a belief in him that he's going to figure this out and become a productive player. It's hard for me to believe that Davidson would give him that 2-year contract and then risk losing him the waivers for nothing in the first preseason. It's just hard. I'm not saying that won't happen. I just feel like it's hard for me to think that he's going to go to you struggled last year, but here's a 2-year contract because I still think you're going to figure it out and become an important part here. To now, I don't care if I lose you for nothing because of 2 bad weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree that's
it's not 2 bad weeks though.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's 2 bad weeks in camp.
It's a really bad season. Yeah, it's a bad camp after.
But he obviously thought there was something still there, or he just wouldn't have qualified them all and let him walk last year for nothing.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to think he's going to sign him for 2 years just to risk losing him. And maybe nobody claims him.
Right.
I say 50-50. Those type of guys usually, don't get claimed, but you never know. So,
I mean, that is true. But then where do you do with him?
Well, that's the issue because his style of play dictates he's a top 6 player, but he's not a top 6 forward on his team. He's not he can't play the 4th line because the 3rd line is
Third line's pretty much set, yeah.
He's not a 4th line player. You're not going to put him out there with Pat Maroon and Craig Smith. That does him no good. It does those guys no good.
Right.
So there's really nowhere to put him. They're stuck in that position with him and Andreas Athanasiou. Kind of the same position. Like, what do you really do with these guys if they're not producing? Reichel's stat line tonight, another invisible stat line.
Yeah.
In just over 17 minutes of ice time. I keep forgetting he's 73. I'm looking for him up at 27 and can't find him. Yeah. Was on the ice for a goal against, 0 shot attempts. You got to have the puck to shoot.
Sure.
And they really didn't. He was credited with 1 hit. He had 3 giveaways, a takeaway, and 2 blocked shots. Just not a great line. And that line, Lucas Reichel and Andreas Athanasiou, our other, where does he fit guy, and poor Taylor Hall, in 6:33 of 5-on-5 ice time. They were out in shot attempts, 14-0.
It's not good.
Not a single shot attempt from that line in 6.5 minutes of 5-on-5. That, to quote Letterkenny, is effing embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's what I say, poor Taylor Hall, because Taylor Hall looked fantastic against the Blues the other night.
Yeah.
And then he gets put on with these 2 guys, and it's just like he is like the anchor on the Titanic, just dragged down. Not a good, very disappointing for Reichel.
Yeah.
Athanasiou, you kind of know what you got in Athanasiou. It's speed.
But what do you do with him?
That's another guy that you shouldn't have given a second year to. I did not like that deal when they gave it to him. I know they had to get to the floor last year, but why did you have to give him a second year? Now you're kind of stuck with a $4 million player you can't trade.
I mean, you could.
No one who's taking that.
I mean, you'd have to hold. You'd have to hold.
Columbus
on to
was a good.
Yeah.
Well, Columbus was a good, but in case you missed it today, the NHL is kind of like giving them a little leniency, is hitting the cap floor.
Yeah.
By opening night, which is the right thing to do.
Right.
They kind of said that the Johnny Gaudreau signing bonus will still count against the cap hit, since I guess that's money they've already paid.
They're giving them leeway,
and then they're giving them. They didn't give them a hard deadline on when they have to hit the floor, but they're letting them get their stuff together, which is the right call. But, I was thinking if they needed to have a guy on opening night to get them to the floor, Athanasiou is like how he's not been a Columbus Blue Jacket already in his career. Yeah. That's a guy, or maybe a Ryan Donato trade to Columbus. That's a guy that's barely played in the preseason too. Like, he seems to be another guy that's on the outside looking in.
I mean, he's on the bubble. Like, I think if I'm looking,
Craig Smith has obviously got a spot on this team.
Yeah,
he seems to be a Luke Richardson favorite.
Smith and Maroon, they're around. I mean, if I'm looking at it right now, for fit, for the roles that are going to be needed on this team, I'm keeping Donato around over Reichel or Athanasiou.
Yeah,
because Reichel and Athanasiou,
that hard-working thing you were talking about earlier, you need that.
He's a bottom 6 type of player. He's versatile, a little bit of scoring touch, but he's a guy that can play that, accept that role of being like, go into a corner and try and win a board battle, go in and do the hard work. And that's not to say that Athanasiou and Reichel don't work hard. I'm not saying that like these guys are lazy. I'm just saying, I think for what this team needs to fit this roster and not be wasting any roster spaces, I'm taking a guy like Donato. I'm probably taking Joey Anderson too.
I would, and Luke Richardson would too. Luke Richardson loves Joey Anderson. If Joey Anderson could take faceoffs, he'd be the 4th line center.
He would be,
and he'd play all 82 games.
He would be, and I think with this emphasis that they've come into training camp with on hard work, business, every spot has to be earned, all of that stuff. I mean, I feel like your contract shouldn't dictate
Agreed.
your ice time. And no. Andreas Athanasiou at 4.25, that's a lot of money for a guy that I don't know where he fits on this team.
Right. And like, as you said, like, you can't say we got to work hard. We got every spot is earned, and then just give it to Lucas Reichel when he clearly hasn't earned it. That contradicts that. You know, the problem is Donato might be the easiest guy to actually trade.
From a hockey standpoint, yeah.
Like if other teams are calling and saying, "Hey, we're down a 4. We need a guy. Who you got available?" And they say, "Well, we got Lucas Reichel, we got Andres Athanasiou, we got Ryan Donato." And the other GM be like, "I didn't hear those first 2 names. What do you want for Donato?"
Yeah.
You know, this team has a lot of depth. It's got a lot more NHL players on it than it did last year, and now you're coming to the end of camp where you're just like, maybe there's too many guys.
Yeah.
Or there's too many guys that aren't really doing enough.
Yeah.
They haven't earned their place. You know, Athanasiou, I mean, do you scratch him until he gets, you know, angry and demands a trade? But I can't see too many teams running to take that. I mean, I know you can retain. I understand that, but I just don't see how too many teams are going to be lining up around the block to take on that contract.
No, and I think that's not even. I don't know if you even say like you send Athanasiou to Rockford. That doesn't seem like that's going to go over well. And I also don't think that's like he's taken off our hands off waivers because, like you said, no one's just going to pick up that money for nothing. That would have to be some sort of trade. I don't know where those guys fit in. And I think this is a point where the Blackhawks have to start kind of making harsh decisions and not necessarily just being like, we need warm bodies, we need Rem Pitlick and Zach Sanford. And now you're at a point where I think you're looking at it and you're like, who can push this team forward? Is Andres Athanasiou and Lucas Reichel, are these guys pushing this team forward, or are they, kind of just getting in the way? I don't know. I don't want to overreact too much to the preseason, but for Reichel, it's more than just this preseason. For Athanasiou, I know injuries hampered him last year, but it's also more than just this preseason. It's been
his whole career, essentially.
Yeah. There's more of a track record with him. So I don't know. Some tough decisions definitely have to be made pretty soon because they got 2 more games left, Friday and Saturday. I'm gonna be interested to see how things shake out over the next few days. Do we want to quickly talk about Kevin Korchinski?
Yeah, we need to.
Because he was playing better in the last preseason game he was in. Tonight, step back.
Yeah, it was not pretty for Kevin Korchinski, who our last pregame show we were singing his praises, led the team in ice time the last 2 games. But tonight wasn't his night. The first 2 wild goals were directly off miscues.
Mm-hmm.
The first goal, the Hawks, the Hawks were on a line change. He had the puck up along the right boards, was being pressured, kind of just looked to pass the puck to the middle of the ice, but there was nobody there except a green jersey because there was a line change, and then it was Comezzo made a real nice save on the first shot, but the rebound, chaos ensued. Second, like on that play, Korchinski should have tried to just bang the puck off the glass, get it out of the zone, get it into the neutral zone. By then, the team would have been on the ice, but he tried to do so much. Situational awareness was not there. Second goal, it looked like he learned from that mistake because he was getting pressure again along the boards. This time he tried to go up the glass and out of the zone. The execution was poor. The idea was, the thinking was correct. The execution was bad. I don't know if the puck was on edge when he flicked it, but it hit the glass and kind of just dropped right away.
Yeah.
That was more bad luck than bad decision-making. The first one was bad decision-making. The second one looked like he learned from his mistake, but it was just
the execution was bad.
Execution was bad. And then overall for his night, Kevin Korchinski, a -3, just under 20 minutes, 1 shot on goal on 2 attempts. It was credited with a hit. Not his best game. I know a lot of people said, wow, this means he's going to Rockford. I don't know if those 2 bad turnovers and a subpar night erases decent play over the first 3 games. But if Kyle Davidson and the coaching staff was just waiting for something like this to say, aha, see, he has to go to Rockford. Now they have their reason to say, like, if Korchinski had another good game and was, mistake-free, they would have a hard time justifying sending him down to Rockford.
Right. I mean, if he's having those games, he's playing himself into the lineup, into the NHL lineup, which is what we all, I think we all kind of came into this preseason thinking is like Korchinski has to prove that he can't hang at the NHL level yet, rather than he needs to prove that he should be above the AHL.
Right.
So and I think, this is what this was his 3rd game,
4th.
right?
He's played in every game.
He's played in all 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, this was, I think he was making some steps forward. This was a big step back. And I think I would imagine he's playing in one of the last 2 games to just get one more game out there, one more impression made, and he's going to have to make it a good one, because I still feel like the Wyatt Kaiser situation, I think, opened the door for Korchinski.
Yeah, we'll update that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about that quickly. But I still think it's not necessarily that Korchinski has stepped through that door and shut it behind him. I think it's still open for interpretation to see what's going to happen with that 6th and 7th defenseman spot.
I was encouraged, though, as I said, that that 2nd turnover, you could see the acknowledgement of doing what he should have done in the first play.
He thought the right thing.
So that's encouraging. Yeah. He didn't just blindly make the same mistake twice. They were learning from the first mistake, trying to execute better, just not following through in execution. So I'm encouraged with that. We're still dealing with a very young defenseman who's probably going to spend some time in Rockford. I would be surprised if he doesn't have at least 1 stint in the AHL this year, even if it's just for, hey, 2 or 3 weeks, gets his act going, and they bring him back up. So that's we can update quickly injury updates from this morning, and then we'll close out our segments and probably stick a big fork in this one and forget this game.
Well, we should also talk a little bit about the broadcast. Yes, let's get to the important stuff.
We'll do the important stuff. We did get updates. Well, first of all, Artem Levshinov was skating again on his own this morning, but was not wearing the green non-contact jersey.
How about that?
Was wearing the practice jersey with his own name and number on it.
It's good.
That's a sign that he might be joining the rest of camp here soon. I doubt he plays before the end of this.
Yeah, that would be impressive if he did.
I mean, the way he was skating with Chris Kunitz, it looks like he still needs a couple days to get his legs going. Encouraging while I went over there to check on Levshinov. Laurent Poissois was in full pads and skating, so that's a good he's not going to play before the end of the preseason, but it's good to see him out there. Maybe he won't, maybe that first road trip is all he misses. Maybe they get him out there before the road trip comes back. Who knows? But that's a good sign. Lebowski 5. Levshinov's 55. That's why Korchinski is 14. Double nickels for Levshinov. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, it's Kevin Korchinski. Oh, wait a minute. It's going to take me half a season.
Print out that roster.
And then Luke Richardson gave us an update on Wyatt Kaiser. And then we got clarification from the PR staff afterwards. Basically, what we were told is, and we're not going to get specifics, and nor should we, because it's none of our business. Something came up during Wyatt Kaiser's pre-camp physical. Nothing physically, but something that medical staff suggested he get further tests on.
Yeah.
And he had some invasive testing done. And Luke Richardson said that all the tests came back negative. Everything's good. He just needs a little time to recover from that. And he's been medically cleared. He's going to, I guess, get a day or two in the gym maybe and then work his way back on the ice. So the good news is Kaiser has got a clean bill of health
Yeah.
It wasn't a hockey injury that kept him off the ice these last few days. It was something else medically that he was testing for, and things came back,
Weird.
Yeah, it's weird saying negative when the result is actually positive.
I know.
I want to say things came back. It's positive for him
Positive
that it was a
news.
negative on the chart.
Right, yeah.
It's so weird doing that, but
yeah, that's good news because it was weird. We were just like, he hasn't played in a week. There was no update.
Luke was just really quick. Anytime there was a question, he was just like, I have no update. I have no update. Like, he wasn't giving anything.
Yeah. So it's good to see that.
Get a little clarification without really being told the specifics, but good that he's going to be joining the team again. Yeah. Yes.
And that's good for him as well, too, because he's had no preseason action whatsoever. So if he's good to go by, this weekend, it'll be good to see him.
He's a guy I could see playing in Milwaukee.
Get into a game. Yeah, definitely.
Back to Korchinski for 1 second. I want to see him play Friday night. I want to see him right back out there and see the kind of response. If he can come back and have another solid game after that, then it's like, okay, that's what I want to see. So I hope that that's what they do. And we don't have any specifics on what they were testing for. That was not.
We're not going to get it.
That was not given to us.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be told. Kawhi Kaiser had a private medical issue that he was being tested for, and that's where we're leaving it at. We don't need to know the details. If he one day wants to share it with us, he will. But we're not going to press him and be like, hey, can I see your medical chart, dude? Yeah. So some of us got to see the CHSN broadcast. We hooked up the old antenna here and got the picture working. I know
being pretty close to the Sears Tower was pretty beneficial for us there.
Yeah, that helped. I know some people were struggling to pick that up, got antennas, were getting audio only, or had to put the antenna out on a window or something. But I kind of liked what I saw. First of all, the broadcast itself with Rick Ball at play-by-play. It sounds like a hockey broadcast.
It sounds like John Weideman.
It does. He has a lot of young John Weideman in him.
Yeah.
The cadence and the voice. Rick Ball, very good. You noticed right away, like, oh. And no, I'm not slamming Chris Foster's. Chris Foster's is a great guy. Mm-hmm. Loved chatting with him. But Rick Ball is a hockey play-by-play guy, not a play-by-play announcer trying to do hockey. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. It sounded great. Him and Pang are going to get some great chemistry going.
Yeah, they're good.
The graphics package was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, it was different.
A lot of playing off of the stars on the Chicago flag. I'm a fan of that, even though we thought of that first. So
yes,
but the score bug. You had some opinions on that. It's different. I like it. If you didn't see it, it's how, as you see, like our score bug goes horizontal. Their score bug is vertical.
Stacked up.
So it's one on top of the other with the shots in between. I like that they use the logos instead of the abbreviations. I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, I would prefer more horizontal score bug, but
they didn't want to exactly copy ours, so they had to switch it a little bit.
That's big of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, of the things that I would worry about, the score bug is low on the list.
The goal graphic animation was cool when they scored.
I like that.
A big, on the side, up the side, was a big goal with the stars and the logo.
That was cool.
Hopefully they get to use that a lot this season.
Yeah, hopefully.
But overall, for a first night, I thought it went off real well. They didn't have any kind of pre or post. They didn't have an intermission report because it's just not quite ready for that yet.
Still working on that.
But off to a good start. As I said, the actual broadcast with Rick Ball and Darren Pang, Blackhawk fans are going to be, they're going to love it. It's you have a play-by-play guy that knows what he's calling. He knows the players. He knows the rules. It's going to be good.
It'll be good.
It'll be good. He's got a good goal call.
Yeah. And as Jay mentioned on the show last week, and Jeff Ager said the same thing today, on online, look for October 11th to be a day that is a quote unquote deadline for making sure more people can see CHSN.
And I know they got a deal done with RCN.
Astound RCN or something.
Right.
I don't know what that was.
It sounds like there's progress being made for further carrier deals. So I would be shocked if you are an Xfinity customer and you can't watch it that October 11th game. The regular season opener in Utah is going to be on ESPN, so they don't have to worry.
That's all hope.
Before we head out, I just want to remind everybody, if you like what we're doing here, become a diehard here at CHGO. Becoming a diehard makes your fan experience even better. Upgrade your fandom over at allchgo.com. What do you get when you become a diehard? Well, first off, you get our undying love and gratitude, and that is priceless. And Sarah will give you high fives every time you come to an event, and Sarah gives the best high fives. So you get 20% off all merch and events. You get a free shirt or hat of your choice. So we got a ton of events coming up. You get 20% off if you want to come to any one of our CHGO Bears tailgates. We do them before each and every home game right there at Wabash and Cermak. You get all you can drink, all you can eat, and you get to hang out with the CHGO Bears guys and other Bears fans. We're having multiple Blackhawk takeovers this year. Mm-hmm. One of them might be a special night where the 20% discount will come in handy.
It always does, but even especially on that night.
This might be a 20% discount that is greater than all the other 20% discounts. Just saying.
I understand that math.
Yes. That this 20% will be worth more than all the other 20%. We've got some special stuff planned for the season, so become a diehard and save on those as well. Plus, you get access to the diehard Discord channels, which a lot of our Hawks fans were chatting during the game. We get first dibs on our mailbag shows, and you get access to our premium written content. Mario's been cranking out a bunch of stuff. Jay's Blackhawks beat. Our rebuild reports are going to get split up into 2 separate articles this year.
Yeah. Mario
handling the non-professional and European prospects. I'm going to be doing a weekly column on just the Ice Hogs, since there's going to be so many important players down there as well.
And to cover Lucas Reichel.
Yes. He won't be on my list of important players, unfortunately. So, yes, lots of great stuff. Become a diehard. And that's the best way to support us. Another great way to support us is hitting that like button on the way out. Giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts is a great way to support us as well. You don't have to completely, pump our tires. You can roast us in the review, but as long as that review is a 5-star review,
sure.
Because a 4-star review might as well be a 0-star review. We had somebody do that the other day. They gave us a 5-star review, and then they gave us some constructive criticism. So I appreciate that. I'll read the constructive criticism in a 5-star review. If I see a 1-star review, I'm not even reading what they said. All right. That is wrapping up this 45-minute post-game show.
Yeah, well, we tried.
I'm Greg. We still got to do the 4-star and
yeah.
We're bad
at
this.
Pay off
this
our
is why
segments.
Jay is good at it. All right. Chat's 4-star before we go. Probably not much of a surprise. Connor Bedard coming in with his power play goal, his 6 shots on goal.
Oh, there it is.
Blast from the Passy. Now we feel better. Also had 2 hits and won 53% of his faceoff. So a good night for Connor Bedard. Points in each of the preseason game. Not one of the guys I'm worried about heading into Utah. And quickly, let's do our preseason Who's Your Hawk? You guys left Connor Bedard out there again. Jay,
it's too easy to pick him.
Well, you keep leaving him to me. I'll take him every night then. Jay had Jason Dickinson. He had 5 points tonight. Welcome to the positive column, Jay.
Hey.
It only took him 4 games to get out of the negative. He's got 4 points on the season. You had Foligno tonight, 2.5 points. Mario, you have 6.5. I took the table scraps in Connor Bedard. He only got me 8 points. Widening my lead now, but just like in hockey, the preseason don't mean crap.
We're pumping.
I'm the Minnesota Wild of the Who's Your Hawks preseason. I'm going to win the preseason just like I did last year and completely be miserable during the regular season. So, all right.
Well, this new point system is interesting.
We'll see how it goes. And if it stinks, we'll change it again next year.
Sure, just keep changing the rules every year.
Make it. We're gonna keep changing the rules until I win. That's how this works.
Oh, perfect.
All right, now we're gonna wrap up our show. We are back tomorrow at 2:30. Jay will be back with us. We'll be back from practice, so we'll have some video and hopefully and some quotes. We'll talk about that. Thank you for Sarah for staying up late with us and producing the show. Awesome job as usual. And we're going to see everybody tomorrow at 2:30.
Yes. Be a good time.
We all silly like the mayor.